private and public power, so that at the moment when we fear that Trump is the king or the one who wants to be king, at this moment, at the moment we fear whether the republic and its institutions can protect us from the sort of like mad king, like demented fool who wants to squeeze the country out for himself. At that very moment, it's never become more clear that in many respects, the U.S. presidency itself is in a submissive position to the ring of tech capitalists who are necessary not only for like stealing, buying, purchasing the election, funding campaigns, etc., but whose manipulation and ownership and control over the technology of the future, which are going to be the key to the United States remaining, if it is to remain, a preeminent power versus Europe, versus China, versus its other competitors and its other enemies. Those people are extremely necessary. So like in a dictatorship, you think of that central leader as like the airtight commander on the scene, but that cannot be the case in the world we live in now. Trump cannot be a dictator because he actually he himself must submit to the ideas of men who are more powerful than him, both in terms of private capital, meaning they're actually wealthier than him and his family. And number two, they actually hold the reins in some of the key ways that the United States wants to run into that future. And so the oligarchy that surrounds the wannabe, stupid, demented dictator, that oligarchy is absolutely key. So when we take it back to the Altman is the new kid on the block. This is a guy who was just a piece of shit 20 years ago. There are allegations, and I think this is why the author of the article is who he is, the Me Too person, the Woody Allen person. There are allegations that Altman's family doesn't find credible, but others do, including his sister, that Altman himself sexually abused his own sister growing up. Mm-hmm. And whether he did or he didn't, number one, you cannot trust him because he's a liar. And number two, that just goes to show that 20 years ago, who was this guy? He is a sick nobody, some sort of sociopath on the rise up. And what has he become? He is the newest kid on the block. So he runs up the stairs, talking to MBS, talking to Zuckerberg, talking to the Trumps, talking to the Musks of the world, and they're like kind of trying to brush him off their shoulder. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because, one, it does not matter anymore if OpenAI succeeds or not as a company, like in 10 years, because Altman has already rode the tiger into the inner circle of the oligarchs, and he's not going anywhere. He's been using his position at the Y Combinator, that startup fund, to plant his $10,000, his $100,000 in 100 different fucking companies, some of which became billionaire unicorn firms. This dude's fucking set for life. And the reason I'm stressing all this here, a halfway point of the show to answer your question about power, is that in the article, he keeps saying, I'm not doing it for my own power. And this is clearly confession as confession here. This is like the negation of his confession is the truth. When the liar tells you I'm not doing it for power, what's the lie and what's the truth? So right. What he wants is power. And what he wants is to convert that power into something even greater, because all of these guys keep doubling down over and over and over again to try to like harness this science, this technology, to catapult them into further and further and further positions where their ideas, their wishes, their dreams, and their ideologies and their values will become the ones that are scaled around the planet so that they can terraform the earth in their image, with them sitting in the king's chair. So like they are looking through and past that ugly fucking White House ballroom and thinking in 20 years, how many U.S. presidents will have to do what I say? So when you look at Altman as like the science fiction villain, this cartoonish piece of shit, pardon my French, I really don't like him, but this cartoonish piece of shit his ambitions aren't just, I'm going to lie to get rich. We're talking about technologies that have the power to reshape everything in their most extreme form. If that comes to pass, Altman is putting himself in a planetary position to be one of the kind of oligarchs at the round table for the rest of the century.